I'm good, guys. Good morning. Yeah, I graded it. It should be popping up in like the next couple of hours. I put it on a timer. And it go back. So 9.2. Right here. On the door? Look in the door. The door of the freezer. I'm doing page 7. Page 7 if you want to join me there. Page 7. If you need to join me there. Today's 1.1. Turn my mic up. Did he go in the room? Did he? Oh. How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, page 7, page 7. Page 7, page 7. Need my cord. Page 7. I am on page 7. Page 7. That one right there. Page 7. I got like 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna get started. Morning. Is it probably because I'm talking low? Like, I guess if I talk like this, is it better? Yes, no, maybe so. Oh, okay. I guess that helps. 2 more minutes. Page 7. Morning. Ugh. All right. Here we go. I am on module 1.1. Usually I like teaching this module, but gotta skip some things. So on page 7, we need to learn how to divide fractions, because this is a chapter you are not allowed to use a calculator. So this one I gotta be very strict on. So if you guys have paper, if you guys notice, get my phone so I can have the chat out. You need to learn how to divide fractions, because you got to learn how to turn fractions into decimals and decimals into fractions. It is on your test, no way around it. Oh, did I mention it was a test? Not a quiz, but a test. All right, so you got to learn how to put fractions into decimals. So if you have 1 over 4, I usually do a little trick where if you had, no, you guys wouldn't have had them. So top number falls into the box. Bottom number stays on the outside. So I'm going to write this a little bit neater so I can have some space. Okay. Top number falls into the box. Oops. Top number falls into the box and bottom number stays on the outside. Top number falls inside. Again, you can't remember an easy way to remember it. So imagine if you have kata. This is kata. And then she cuts down this tree. Say this is a tree. If she cuts down the tree, which way is the tree going to fall? Like which number is going to fall inside the tree? The 1 is going to fall inside the box. So how many times does 4 go into 1? 0 times. And because it goes into 0 times, I got to put a decimal. Now I got to put a 0. How many times does 4 go into 10? 4 goes into 10 2 times, because 4 times 2 is 8. Because I haven't finished yet, I got to bring down another 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. Okay? I'll do the next one. Again, you have to learn how to divide fractions. You need to learn how to do fractions. So this might get kind of repetitive for a second. I'm going to skip by this in a second. Again, if this is a tree, and this is Kenny. Kenny's missing hair on her right side, so can't really draw her hair on the right. She cuts the tree down. The 1's going to fall inside the box. The 3 stays on the outside. 3 goes into 1 0 times. And because it goes into 0 times, you need to put a decimal. And then you need to add a 0. 3 goes into 10. 9 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I haven't finished. Got to put another decimal down. 3 goes into 10. 3 times. It's just going to rinse and repeat over and over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys to do by yourselves. If you use a calculator, you're just hurting yourself. Because remember, on my test, you're going to be on Zoom, so there's no point in you even trying it. Do this one. Do number 1. I won't do too much of these. Just do number 1 really quick. Do number 1. Tell me what you get when you turn the fraction into a decimal. Tell me what you get when you turn number 1, 5 over 11, into a decimal. And I'll draw it over here so that way I can show you. And this is going to be Chase. If you cut the tree down, which one falls into the box? Turn 5 over 11 into a decimal. Five goes into the box, 11 stays on the outside, 11 goes into 5, 0 times, gotta put a decimal, and then add a 0. 11 goes into 50, 4 times, 11 times 40, 44 is 44, bring down a 6, gotta bring down a 0. 11 goes into 65, which would be 55. And it's just going to rinse and repeat. So it's going to be 0.45 repeating. Okay. And now if you have number 3. Number 3, and I'm done with turning fractions into decimals. Because then now you can just YouTube that on yourself. Guys, if you have 2 1/3, 3 1/2, 2 1/4, it's just going to be 2 point something. It's just going to be 3 point something. It's just going to be 4 point something. So this one's going to be no matter what, 2 point something. So forget about the 2 and just do 1 divided by 3. You know the decimal is going to be 2 point something. And I believe we already did 1 over 3, so you guys, this should be an easy one. 1 falls into the box. Okay, so you guys remember from the last one, it goes 2.3 repeating. Okay. If you guys need any help with dividing fractions, that's an easy one. That's easy for me to teach. Okay. If I need to start turning fractions into decimals, decimals into fractions. Decimals into fractions. This one always gets people. You divide the number by how many places you are in. So to turn a fraction into a decimal, you divide them. For you to turn into a decimal into a fraction, you just divide it by how many numbers you have. This is in the tenths, hundreds, thousands. So I'm going to divide it by 1,000. From there, I just got to find a number they both have in common, and I just start simplifying it. That is it. That's all you got to do. If you have 0.22, what would that be as a fraction? What would 0.22 be as a fraction? Remember, the last number is in the tenths, then the hundredths. So that means you need to divide it by 100. So it'll just be 22 over 100. And then you need to simplify it. You divide both by 2, because I believe 2 can go into both of them. It should be 11 over 50. That's as much as it's going to be simplified. Okay, I'll give you one last one to try by yourselves, please. Actually, there's going to be some on the next page. Okay. One more. Let's see, point 0. Turn this one into a decimal. Sorry, into a fraction. Turn this one into a simplified fraction. Turn this decimal into a simplified fraction. The last number is in the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place. So you divide it by 1,000. Then you need to find a number that they both have in common, which in this one case is going to be 25. You can divide them both by 25. The ones on your test are not going to be this big. So for right now, you use a calculator. They're not going to be this big on your test. They'll be numbers that you can find pretty easy. What's 375 divided by 25? 25, 50, 75, 100. What's 375 divided by 25, guys? I'd like to do it the long way, so I can get to the answer you guys are getting to. $25, $50, $75, $100. $25, $50, $75, $200. $25, $50, $75, $15. Thank you. 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. This could still be simplified by 5. So it's going to be 3 over 40 divided by 5 is 8. There goes your answer. Okay. So coming to the last part of this, repeating decimals. Repeating decimals. This one's easy as long as you just remember the rule. Repeating decimals, and the one that looks like the one in your quiz is I'll just do it the easy way then. Might want to write this down. Repeating decimals are always, instead of it being divided by 100, in this case is the last numbers in the hundreds place, repeating decimals are going to be over 99. It's going to be over 99. 37 and 99 don't have a number in common, so this is already your final answer. If you had 0.375 repeating, and I asked you to turn it into a fraction, instead of you putting over 99, you're going to put over whatever the last number you have, which is going to be 999. It's the same thing as the other one, except you're just going to put in as many 9s as there are numbers. You're going to put as many 9s as there are numbers. If you have 0.1 repeating, you're just going to put it over 9, which will turn into 1 over 9. If you have 0.4137 repeating, you're just going to divide it over 9999. However many numbers there are, you're going to put however many 9s to replace it with. Okay, so I can skip this part because this should have been like a 6th grade lesson. What would be the answer to number 5? What would be the answer to number 5? What would be the answer to number 5? It's a repeating decimal, so if you have 0.57, and I told you guys to do it over 99, your answer would be, take out the decimal, 57 over 99. I gotta start giving out extra credit. Okay, I'll start paying attention. I gotta start giving out extra credit. Okay. Here comes the ones that I really wanted to get to. I already taught you guys square roots, which is the beautiful thing that I taught it in class. Okay? Except now they're going to put into equations for you guys. Okay? They're going to put into equations. You guys know the square root? You might, actually, you know what? I'll do this for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 49 is 9. The square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 81 is 9. And the square root of 100 is 10. Those are your perfect squares, am I correct? So as long as you make a little table, if you go 1 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you put the square roots, those are pretty easy, right? Or should I go back to those? Okay. The way they put it in an equation over here, and again, I've done this before. I've done this. How do you solve this? How do you get rid of this stupid square? What do you need to do with 121? How do you get rid of the stupid square? How do you get rid of the stupid square? We did this lesson already, which is the beautiful thing. That's how ahead of the game I am. You square root it. You square root it. So the square root of 121 equals 11. We've done this already. So the square root of 121 is 11. What is the other square root of 121? You're not dividing anything by itself. What is the other square root of 121? Okay, I'll go back. The square root of 121 is 11, and it's also negative 11. I'll go back because I see the ones in the chat. I'll go back. The square root of 121 is 11. 11 times 11 gives you 121. Negative 11 times negative 11 gives you 121. So if I can erase this, I'm going to do a couple more of these anyways. What I was trying to tell you guys is that we already did this lesson where I already told you guys the square roots. These are called perfect squares. You know these perfect squares. Like you know the answer to these. And I can go all the way to 10. The square root of 1 is 1. And it's also negative 1. The square root of 4 is 2. And the square root of 4 is also negative 2. Why? Because 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Square root of 9 is 3. Oops, 3. And it's also negative 3. Do I need to continue, or is this part making sense now? Do I need to continue these, or do we already know most of our square roots? For the people that said that they didn't understand it. Okay. Can you guys please solve this one then? Solve this one. Guys, remember the answer is going to be x equals 7 and x equals -7. It's got two answers, 7 and -7. 7 times 7 is 49. -7 times -7 is 49. Okay. And if you notice, you have the little one with the fraction over here. Super easy. Super easy. Again, how do you solve it? How do you get rid of this stupid squared? You do the square root of the whole thing. The square root of 16 is 4. You should leave it as a fraction. Leave it as a fraction. The square root of 169 is 13. But it can also be positive 4 over 13 and negative 4 over 13. Yes, on your test that is coming up, you will have to put both. You will have to put the positive and the negative of it. If you guys want to write that nice and easier way, like the ones you guys are going to be going into, especially if we're going to honors, you'll have to put it 4 or minus, plus or minus 4 over 13. That's how you write the answer. You're telling me that it could be a positive, or it could also be a negative. If you're going into honors and algebra 1, you also use that too. Sometimes, depends on your teacher. Okay, so let's do these then, because I want to practice on these. If you guys can please do 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'll give extra credit on these. That way I don't bore you guys to death. 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'll give out extra credit on these. Remember, you are not allowed to use a calculator, so don't hurt yourself. You're not allowed to use a calculator, so don't hurt yourself. I'm giving out extra credit for 7, 8, 9, and 10. There is absolutely nothing to round. There is no rounding on this part of the lesson. I haven't even got to the rounding stuff yet. There is nothing to round. But good question, though. Grace, on your test, remind me to give you 2 extra credit points. On your test, Grace, remind me to give you 2 extra credit points. Okay. So far, everybody's getting number 7 right. And then I got a couple number 8s that are also correct. Whoa. Eight. So you're still finding this because you have a stupid squared. that you need to get rid of, you still got to do the square root of the whole thing. You do the square root of the top number, and you do the square root of the bottom number. That's all it is. It's just a fraction. You're still going to leave it as a fraction. If you already finished 7, 8, 9, and 10, or you got stuck, go get some water really quick. We only got like another 15 minutes, so go get some water really quick while the rest of you guys finish. I know number 9 and 10 is kind of confusing. Some of you guys got it, I saw. Some of you guys are like, what the heck is this? Okay, there's some people that are trying to do 9 and 10. They want that extra credit, boy. 10 is 4 over 7. The square root of 9, a number times a number has to give you 9. But it's got to be the same number. A number times itself will give you 9. What number is that? Yeah. I see a lot of people stuck on 9 and 10. That's good. That's good. It's not a bad thing to be stuck on. 1, you got to think. A number times itself has to give you 9. What is that number? I did the list before. I did the list. You could have written it down, or you could have like made your own. And if not, it's not that hard. I think you're overthinking it. Right, and I gave you the square root of 9. How do you get rid of this stupid squared? Because I need to solve this. How do you get rid of the stupid squared? I need to do the square root. And the square root of 196 is what, people? Number 7 was plus or minus 14. For number 7, the square root of 196 is 14 and negative 14. For number 8, how do you get rid of this stupid squared? You do the square root of 9 over 256. So the square root of 9 is plus or minus 3. And the square root of 256 is, what is it? 16? 16. How do you find it? Well, I know 12 times 12 is 144, so it can't be that. So I'll do 13 times 13. That's 169. Nope, I didn't get 256. If I do 14 times 14, I get, that's 4, that's 5, that's 4, that's 1. I get 196. Nope, didn't get 256. 15 times 15, nope, I know that one is 225. And if I do 16 times 16, I get 36. Oh my god, I get 256. So that's how you're going to have to do it on your test. Oh, this one. Guys, remember, it's plus or minus 3 over 16. It's plus or minus 14. So if you guys are just telling me 3 over 16, you're wrong. You will not get this right on the test. If you need to get rid of this stupid, what's this called again? Before I announce the extra credit, people. Hi, Bree. How do you cancel out this thingy? What's that thing called again? Cubed. Oh, okay. So in order for you to get rid of this cubed, you need to do the cube root of 512. So the cube root of 512 is, what's the answer? What times what times what gives you 512. A number times itself again will give you 512. It's just 8. It's just 8. It's not negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Positive 64 times negative 8 gives you negative 512. That is not what they were asking for. They were asking for the cube root of 512. Cube roots only have a positive one. They don't have a negative one. And finally, you need to find the cube root of 64 and 343. The cube root of 64 is 4, and the cube root of 343 is 7. If you guys make a list of all these perfect squares and all the perfect square cube roots, all the perfect square roots and all the perfect cube roots, I will let you use that on the test. If you make a list of the perfect cubes and the perfect squares. Okay, I got one little tiny part to this lesson, and then we're done for the day. I won't bombard you guys with too much. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to get started on, but I won't finish it today. We have estimating square roots. We have estimating square roots. This is the hard part. This is the kind of difficult part. Now, for example, let's do square root of 5. If you have paper and you're writing this down, put the square root of 5. Oh, sorry. Abby, I owe you extra credit on the last test. On the next test, I'm sorry. Abby, I owe you extra credit on the next test, 2 extra credit points. I owe Shane 2 extra credit points on the next test. I owe Stefano again, because you're putting a ton of work. And I owe, who's the first person to say this part? Danilo, I'm going to give you extra credit. Just remind me to add it to your test. I know you're in Campbell's class. Just remind me. And Clark, I'll also give it to you. I'll give you guys 2 extra credit points for your next test. All those people that I said, if you don't remind me, I'm not going to remember. Okay. The square root of 5. Can you guys do me a favor this time really quick? Can you guys please do the square root of 5 on a calculator? Can you guys do the square root of 5 on a calculator really quick, please? And then type in whatever you get. I got 5 minutes left. I'd like to get at least a little bit started on this part. This is the hard part. Can you all please do the square root of 5 on a calculator and put as many numbers as you can type? I would put 10 numbers. Put 10 numbers. I didn't say to round a single thing. Can you put 10 numbers, please? Nickelback, I owe you 2 extra credit points for your next test, just because you were paying attention. Remind me, Nickelback, on your test. Can you guys please type what the square root of 5 is on a calculator and then type in maybe like around 10 numbers on the YouTube chat? Okay. So it's a long number that goes on forever, right? That doesn't really have a pattern, right? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find the square root of 5 as best as possible. We're going to round this number. Now, mind you, again, you're not allowed to use a calculator. Can you please give me the perfect square that comes right before the square root of 5? Can you give me the perfect square that comes right before 5? What's a perfect square that comes right before the square root of 5? Yes, the square root of 4. Can you guys please give me the perfect square that comes right after 5? I'm doing this in a nice little step-by-step process. Can you guys please give me the perfect square that comes right after the square root of 5? There is no perfect square of 6. There is no square root of 6. So that's not an option. Nobody knows the square root of 6 from the top of their head. So that's not an option. It's funny that you guys know the square root of 2. That's what I was asking for. You guys know the square root of 4. I'm sorry. You guys know the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. What is the perfect square that comes right after 5? Notice how I'm saying the word perfect, that you guys know the answer to. If I were to ask you, hey, what's the square root of 9? So the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So that means this number has to be in between, somewhere in between 2 and 3. So let me make a number line here. 2, and then 3 is over here. So then I have 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, and then comes 2.5, 2.6. I don't have a lot of space, so 2.7, 2.8, 2.9. Notice how the square root of 4 is right here, and the square root of 3 is right here. If you had to take a wild guess and tell me what the square root of 5 is, do you think it's going to be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9? Which one? I'm handing out extra credit like hotcakes here. You guys love this 2.5 thing. How does that make any sense? Just so, because since I put it in the middle right here, you guys think that it goes right in the middle? Guys, the number right after 4 is 5. So what number comes right after the square root of 4? Go the next number over. Because what if I ask you for the square root of 6 or the square root of 7? The square root of 6 might be 2.5, but the square root of 7 might be 2.5. The next number after 4 is 5, so the next number after 2 would be 2.1, maybe even 2.2. I'd take either one of these as an answer. I would take either one of those as an answer. 2.1 or 2.2, maybe even 2.3, maybe even 2.3. I'll do one last one. I'll do one last one for you guys, and I'll give out the last little piece of extra credit, and then I'll give you guys your assignment. The square root of, let's do 15. Let's do the square root of 15. Nobody type it in the calculator, you'll be hurting yourself. What is a perfect square that comes right before 15? Which is a perfect square that comes right before 15? What's the perfect square that comes right before 15? A perfect square, the square root of 9. Which is a perfect square that comes right after the square root of 15. There is no square root of 6, guys. There is no square root of 6. 16. The square root of 9. I'm going to try to make this one nice and long for you guys so you guys can see it. The square root of 9 is 3. And the square root of 16 is 4. And I know right in the middle between 3. What number is right in the middle of 3 and 4? What number is right in the middle of 3 and 4? What number comes right in between 3 and 4? So I know what number I could put right here really quick. Okay, 3.5. So I know right here is going to be 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, and finally 3.9. If I had to put the square root of 15 somewhere in here, I had to put the square root of 15 somewhere in this number line, where would I put it under, knowing that the number right before 16 is 15? Where would I put it under? And mind you, just because it's in the middle doesn't mean that it's going to be in the middle. That's not the way it works. Because if I had to put numbers, I'd put square root of 10, square root of 11, square root of 12, square root of 13, square root of 14, and then finally square root of 15. Yeah, I would take 3.8 or 3.9 as an answer. I would take 3.8 or 3.9 as an answer, maybe even 3.7, maybe. Depends on how I'm feeling that day. Depends on how I'm feeling. Who gets this one? Cortez, you're the lucky winner of that last one. Your HRW is up, class. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Your HRW is up. It's due by Sunday, as always. All right? Have a great day. And I'll see you guys on Zoom if you guys need me for extra help on any of this assignment, okay? Bye, guys.